Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome back. I'm Jeannie and summertime to me means fruit. So I at least have to do a couple fruit inspired nail sets during the summertime. So this will be my first and it's going to be a watermelon inspired set. So I pulled these colors from Mani Boss dip powder to use for my colors. I'll also be using my Mani Boss dip liquids. There are a couple nails that I will leave sugared, so if you want to see how I sugar using dip liquids, no gels, I'll be doing that. But I will be using just a little bit of gel for the watermelon seeds. So let's get into this mani. I always like to start with my solid dip powders first. So the first color I'm going to be using is Dragon Fruit, which is a solid pink, and it's going to go on my thumb and middle finger. And I'm going to do 2 dips each on each finger. I'm applying a thin, even layer of dip base to my entire nail. So I start with my brush about the middle of my nail. I brush downwards towards my free edge, and then I'll work my way upwards towards my cuticle area. And then once I have my nail fully covered, I will dip into my dip powder, tap off the excess powder, and then I'm just going to take my little cuticle tool and make sure that I'm cleaning up my cuticle area and sidewalls to make sure that I don't have any excess product on my skin, because excess product on your skin can cause lifting. So I just want to make sure everything is nice and cleaned up. And I'm going to wait to dust that off until I finish my middle finger as well. So the same thing, I remove most of my dip base from my brush. I don't want to load my brush with too much dip base and risk flooding my cuticles. So I start with my brush about the middle point of my nail, sometimes a little higher, but I don't start at the cuticle line. I brush it down towards the free edge and then up towards the cuticle area. And then I'm going to dip into Dragon Fruit, tap off the excess powder, and then make sure I'm cleaning up my sidewalls and cuticle area as well. After my first layer is fully dry, I'm going to dust off the excess powder because I don't want to gunk up my dip base brush, and I also want to make sure that my layers aren't too thick. So going in for layer number 2, it's going to be the same process of I've got a little bit of dip base on my brush. I'm starting at about the middle of my nail. I'm brushing downwards towards my free edge and then upwards towards my cuticle area. And then if I missed any spots, this is my opportunity to make sure that I've got it covered this time around. So I'm just taking a little more time, making sure I've got everything covered because I did forget like a little corner of my sidewall. So I want to make sure that's covered because I'm only going to do 2 dips of the color. Even though this color is called Dragon Fruit, I didn't think a Dragon Fruit mani would be particularly cute, so I decided to do a watermelon, which I have done a watermelon mani before. I think it may have been like 2 or 3 years ago now. It was quite a while ago. But I think this color does work for a watermelon, even though it's called Dragon Fruit. And the glitter I'll be using a little later on is actually called Watermelon Sugar. So I think it all kind of ties together. But now I'm kind of plotting on what my next fruit mani is going to be. So if you have any suggestions, let me know down below in the comments. I've done watermelon before. Let me think of the fruit nails I've done. Oranges, lemons, grapefruit, kiwi, and I think that may be all. So maybe I'll do like cherries or blueberries. I don't know. Let me know what you want to see. And I do have a confession of I'm doing a watermelon mani today. I've done a watermelon mani previously. I don't really like watermelon. I mean, I don't hate it. I will eat it, but I don't love watermelon. I'm more of a berry person than a melon person. And like I'm super sensitive to like salty foods, and I find watermelons are like naturally salty. So that's kind of why I don't really like watermelons all that much, but apparently I like doing watermelon manis. I don't know, let me know down below in the comments as well. Are you a melon person or a berry person or something else? I went ahead and lined up my colors that I'm going to be using for my watermelon nail on my ring finger because I'm using dip base. It's an air dry. I need to move a little bit quicker, so I need to make sure I have everything ready. So I've got Dragon Fruit, Milk Money, and Seafoam. So once I've got my dip base on my entire nail, I'm just going to slowly start dipping into Dragon Fruit. So that's going to be the main part of the fruit. So I'm going to go almost entirely up my nail, but I'm going to leave a gap at my cuticle area where I want the rind to be. So I'm just going to slowly dip my nail in, and then once I've got that at the height I want it, I want to tap off the excess powder, and then I'm going to slowly, as a guide, dip my finger into Milk Money just to make a little bit of a white line above the pink. And then for the rest of my nail, I'm going to dip into Seafoam to make like that rind color. And I shouldn't have dipped into seafoam because it's darker. I wish I would have poured over, but I think for the second layer I correct that and pour over. But I think you can kind of see like that look that I'm going for of watermelon. And when I dust off the excess powder, you'll see that the colors don't blend together, that they just kind of dust off, and then you can see like those three distinct colors. So it kind of works out, and I was just being lazy, so I thought this might be the easiest way to do it. But before I do that, you'll see me. I want to make sure that my jars are level because I want my lines to be straight when I'm dipping in. So I want to make sure everything is nice and flat in the powder, and that way I get smoother lines. So I'm going to follow the same thing for my second layer. So I'm going to apply a thin, even layer of dip base to that entire nail. So I'm just starting around the middle of my nail, brushing downwards towards my free edge and then upwards towards my cuticle area. And seafoam does have like a shimmer to it, but it's not like a heavy shimmer. So I wasn't really worried about like contamination or anything like that. So once I have the dip base on my entire nail, I just want to make sure everything is covered. Once again, I'm going to slowly guide my finger into dragon fruit, and I want to go up to the first line that I had. So I want to follow the same lines of my first layer just to make sure that I'm not mixing it up. I'm going to tap off that excess powder, and then I will do the same. I will slowly guide my finger into milk money and just go a little above that pink dragon fruit line. And then for my second layer, for seafoam, I'm going to pour over to absorb the rest of that dip base. And then as always, I'm going to make sure that I'm cleaning up my cuticle area to make sure I don't have any product on my skin. I dusted off the excess powder, and now I'm going to go ahead and cap my nails in clear before I move on to my glitter. And the reason I cap them in clear is because I don't like to file and buff directly on top of the color because I don't want them to look splotchy or file through the color. So I always like to protect my colors, and I activate them after I cap them in clear because I don't want my solid nails to be contaminated by a stray glitter, and glitters will not stick to activated nails. For the remainder of my nails, I'm going to be using watermelon sugar, and I'm going to leave it sugared. So if you're not familiar with the sugared technique, it's just leaving the glitter raw and not top coating it. So typically when I do a sugaring process, I will do 2 dips of color. I will cap and clear, activate, file and buff, and then I will use a gel top coat to apply that raw glitter, cure it, and then leave it like that as that raw glitter form. But for this, I'm going to be using my dip liquids. I'm not going to be using any gel for it. So I want to show you because the process is going to be a little bit different. So I'm just doing my normal dipping process on my index finger and pinky. So I'm doing 2 dips each on each finger using watermelon sugar. So that's going to be the same. It's just when I get to, after I finish my 2 dips, where it's going to be a little bit different because I'm just going to go ahead and activate it after I'm done with my 2 dips. I'm not going to file and buff on top of the glitter because it's not protected. If I were to file and buff on top of the glitter, it could ruin the glitter, make it look a little dull, a little less sparkly. So I want to make sure that I'm not filing and buff on top of that raw glitter without it being protected. I do actually do a little bit of filing to my shape though, just to make sure that I'm cleaning up the shape in case the glitter made my shape a little bit off. So I do clean that up a little bit, but as far as like on top of my nail, I leave that as is. And I have to say, I really love the way watermelon sugar looks, left sugared as like the raw glitter. I think it's so pretty. I mean, it's gorgeous top coated as well, but there's some glitters that just look even better raw in the sugared form. Having said that though, I'm not wearing this set for long, which is why I sugared it, but it's a texture thing for me. If you have issues with texture, you probably don't want to do the sugaring method if you're going to wear it for a while, because it definitely does have that texture. So while I think it's pretty, I can't wear sugared nails for long just because the texture bothers me. I went ahead and filed and buffed off camera, so here's how the mani's looking. And I know the ring finger is looking a little odd, but we're going to go ahead and fix that right now so it looks more like a watermelon and less like fungus at my cuticle area. So I'm going to be using my gel art liner from Mani Boss. This is After Midnight, which is the black, and I absolutely love her gel art liners. They come in a set of 12 colors, I believe. And it's a HEMA-free formula, and they are so pigmented. All you need is one coat. So I'm going ahead and I'm removing most of the gel from that brush because they do hold a lot of that polish, and I only need a little bit. So I'm going to go in and then place like little, they're not really dots, they're a little longer than dots, maybe like tick marks, I don't know what you call them, but I'm just going to place a few randomly around my nail on the pink area of the watermelon. I don't want too many, but I want to place a few, and then I'm going to cure it for a full 60 seconds. These liners do cure tack-free, so no need to wipe once they're fully cured. So now I'm going to get into my dip top coat. So in order for my dip top coat to dry, I do need one final layer of activator. I'm not going to activate my index finger and pinky because those are already finished and they're not going to get top coat. They're going to stay sugared as is. So applying one final layer of activator to the remainder of my nails, and then I'm going to wait a full 2 minutes before I go in with my dip top coat. For my first layer of dip top coat, I'm going to apply it in 2 to 3 swipes on each nail, making sure that I'm being fairly quick about it. In between each nail, I want to make sure that I'm wiping off my brush on a lint-free wipe in case there's any excess activator. And then normally when I'm done with 5 nails, I'm ready to go in with my second coat. So I did wait a couple more seconds before going in with my second coat of dip top coat. And I'm also making sure on this second layer to make sure that I am capping my free edge. As always, I'm going to finish off my mani by rehydrating my cuticles with my Scales of Mermaid cuticle oil. This is the June limited edition scent, Show Me Your Fishy Face, and I am obsessed with this scent. This is hands down my most favorite Scales of Mermaid scent ever. It is one of those scents that makes my mouth water every time I smell it. It's citrusy and fruity and tart and a little bit of sour, and it's just so good. I love it so much. And I'm doing this voiceover before it actually releases, so I don't know if it's going to sell out. I wouldn't be surprised if it does because it is so good. But Pat did say that if it does sell out so quickly, she will restock it at least once. So make sure you keep an eye out because this one is a must-have. So that pretty much wraps up today's video, and here's my first summertime fruit mani. Let me know down below in the comments what you want to see me do next. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. It lets me know to continue creating content like this. It also helps YouTube recommend me to others, which helps grow my channel. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload content every Monday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.